interestingly, actually, when I did my schooling, it was my family who really wanted me to go into nursing, but I was more interested in going into further education in mass communication. But I think I went through a lot of exams and all, and I think nursing was one area where when I was doing a bit of a research and some interviews which I did at that time, that made me actually think, yes, I would like to go into nursing. So there was not something particular which I had in mind before I joined, but I think while I was doing my nursing training, it made me actually feel really proud. And also, I think it's one of the best job in terms of satisfaction, because you are looking after someone who is very vulnerable when they are in a hospital or when you are providing care to them. So I think just being with them, and I mean, even if you are not able to give them the best of the care, which we should always aim for, I think it's just being with them, providing them with the comfort they need, communicating with them. I think these are some of the things which make me really proud as a nurse. So I am from India, and I did my nursing from Delhi, the capital of India. The college which I did my nursing is Batra College of Nursing. So the same hospital which work closely with the college as well, so that we can have our placements. I felt that I'm really fortunate that I got to do my nursing from one of the reputed hospitals, because it was also a research center as well. So in terms of the training, the things which we learned during nursing, it gave me a very good platform to actually apply that into practice. I have been a nurse now for 15 years. I started actually working as a nurse in ITU, that's Intensive Care Unit. And I worked there for almost 2 years. At that time, actually, one of the biggest hospitals in the whole of the Asia came into place. That was again in Delhi NCR. So I got moved from that particular hospital to a different hospital, where I again worked for a year or so. And then I got this prestigious opportunity of working with, serving Indian Army. So I worked in Indian Army for 5 years. And I went into as a lieutenant, got promoted as a captain. And after serving there for 5 years, I left Army. I moved into a role of a quality improvement nurse in, again, one of the cancer hospitals in Delhi. And then I took this leap of faith and came to UK. So I have been in UK now for 5 years. Cultural shock. And that is something which is common to everyone who enters UK. And when I say that, it's just because, it's everything. It's actually, the mixture of everything, the environment, the weather, the language, and basically the culture in here, how it works. And for me in particular, coming from Delhi, which is the capital of India, I'm so used to having so many people around me. And coming to UK, and I'm at the moment in Harlow, so that's like a countryside, where I came in winter. So I was not able to see a lot of people around, especially once I'm off. So that made me really, really, I shouldn't use the word depressed, but actually made me feel very lonely. And then when I started working in the clinical areas, and the way it works in NHS hospitals are that we have to become competent to do anything when we start in the wards. And so that made me actually quite de-skilled, because some of the things for which I have to redo the whole training, I have been doing there for the last 10 years. And the way I have been, I would say, when I say I am actually talking as an advocate for all the international nurses, that we have been conditioned to know everything. And if you don't know, that's actually taken as something that, I can say that word actually, that quite shameful to say that you don't know something. And when I came in here and there were so many things which were new to me, I might not be able to give the right answer or the expectations which people have on me. So I felt that that was really, really hard for me to say, I don't know. And that's something which I learned, that it's okay to say, I don't know. So I think getting used to the culture in here took a lot of time for me. I think almost a year, I could say. But I think these were few of the challenges which I faced. And when I am with the new nurses and when we reflect on their experience, I think these are some of the common challenges they faced as well. In that aspect, I have to say I was very fortunate. The trust I'm working with, they arranged everything for me. And this is, I'm talking about in 2017. So it was the recruitment team who came as soon as we arrived in UK. And they take us to a tour to the local town, showing us around how to open the bank account and how to buy a grocery, the SIM cards. We now follow something called a buddy system. So those nurses who have been here before, we do ask them to volunteer and take the group of nurses who are new to around the local town just to show them around. And I think that also gives them an opportunity to develop their network and feel more open to share how things here are, and especially when it comes to their own culture and they want to eat something local to their own country. So I think those are some of the things which we as a trust are doing, and I'm sure a lot of the trust are doing the same as well. Communication. Though I have been trained and educated in an English-speaking country, but I think the problem was that there is so much difference in the accent, in the tone, and then again on top of that, the jargons, the colloquialism, all that was quite challenging for me to understand. And then obviously when you are new to any place, irrespective of whether it's a new country or a new job or anything like that, you do have that fear of saying like, I don't know, or how should I do that? So that was present with me as well. I struggled a bit with that. But I think how I overcome that communication thing was, and I do tell all the international nurses, is that having that cultural competence where you are basically having that active listening. And for me, I think the best teacher throughout the process of learning how to communicate was patience. So listening to the patients and just having maybe a chat with them and what they are coming with, because I think we might not understand what they are saying for first few times, but if we try actually asking them that actually I didn't understand, could you please repeat it, or could you explain me in your own way, how does it feel like? I think that's what helped me. And talking to the family as well, that's something which helped me. And again, I think also everyone should have that inquisitive attitude where if you don't know something, you should look for it rather than expecting someone coming to you and telling you on that. And I have a very funny story, and I share it with everyone. So while I was looking after one of the patients, and the doctor came to see the patient, and they were having a conversation. I was doing some stuff around the patient there, and the doctor asked the patient, "How are you feeling today?" And the patient said that, "I'm feeling a bit under the weather." And in my head, being new to UK, I was like, oh my God, that's very strange. The doctor is asking about health and the patient is asking, is answering in terms of how is the weather. And I was like, oh my God. So on top of whatever I was going through, actually, I did had an option of not actually looking into what does that mean. So though I was so busy at that time, I didn't manage to look into it at that particular time of period. But actually, when I finished my shift, went back home, I looked into it and I realized it's an idiom which is very commonly used in here. So I think what I'm trying to say from that is that actually having that inquisitive nature where you want to know how people are talking, what are they talking, I think that's the key in here. And the other thing which was quite interesting, and I really think that's really great in UK, is that back home we as nurses don't have the autonomy to challenge others, and it's more like I would say a hierarchical way where doctors are always expected or assumed to be higher to nurses. So it's more about if they are giving us an order or if they are giving us something to do, we have to do it. But I think while working in UK, I learned to be more autonomous and taking the autonomy of actually challenging people if I feel that they are not doing right, irrespective of who they are, whether they are doctors or my own seniors or my line manager. So I think that's something really, really great, because it also helps you to understand that you have your own tactical acumen, critical thinking, and you have to apply it. I think that's something which I learned from my own previous experience. The current generation, I tell them that you are the current generation. They are quite aware about what's actually happening around as compared to the time when I came. So I think having the awareness about which hospital they are going for, looking into if they are actually getting the specialization they are coming from. So sometimes what happened in a lot of trust is that if I am coming from an ITU background and I have put it as I want to work in ITU, and if they don't have that speciality, obviously they can't give you that. So I think as a candidate, it's more important for the nurses to know and to do some background research in terms of what the hospital specialized is. Is there any, facility or speciality like that in existence? Otherwise, it's more frustrating for them to start in a different environment. I would say speciality on top of a different job, a different country. So that's one thing. In terms of the OAT or the IELTS, that is the English test, there have been a lot of changes. So keeping yourself abreast of all the new changes which are happening. And then talking about the OSCE exam, which is more of a practical exam just to make sure that the skills which are needed, the nurses who are coming from abroad are able to do it in the right way. Most of the trust in NHS now have a education program in place where they will get a structured a 4-week training program for OSCE. So there is support available. There are also training available online as well, so that you get yourself prepared before you actually arrive in UK. So you can go through that as well. Keeping yourself open and having that attitude of learning. And sometimes if you do make mistakes, and if you're not able to clear your exam for the first time, you can resit for the exam. So that's not the end of your career. So there are options and resources and support available. It's just about having the awareness and also being more open to the new changes. When I was doing a bit of CPD, it took me through a page which says that you can get all of these webinars, the CPD, as part of the RCN portfolio as well. And then I clicked into it, went into the RCN and became the member of RCN. RCN in lots and lots of ways have helped me to be where I am. Having an RCN family, so the networking part of it is really amazing, because once you are a member of any board or, you are associated, like I'm from the Eastern Board. Now, because we were in COVID when I became the member, we didn't have any face-to-face sort of meeting, but actually we had regular, virtual meetings. So in a way, it actually, the RCN brought me out of the box way. Because when you are working clinically, you are just thinking about how you have to work clinically. But RCN actually made me realize there is so much going around outside of your trust. So whether it is, networking with other nurses outside of your trust, whether it is about my professional development. So I have to say that when I was progressing from a band 6 to a band 7, and obviously it was my first attempt to go for the interviews, I didn't knew that RCN offer those support as well. So I actually contacted RCN Direct, and they just put me through the right person. And I went through a mock interview with, I think the person who did my interview was a head of the HR. So it was like really a good experience for me to be prepared for my band 7 interview. And fortunately, I got my band 7. So I think there are so many ways where RCN does support we as nurses, especially the international nurses with the visa, if they have any issues with their visa, or is it a stay to remain in UK, ILR. So there are so many things which they offer. And even in terms of the CPD, depending upon what is your specialty. So it's not journalized in our RCN. You have specialization forums as well. Like myself, I'm part of the emergency forum, a critical care forum, and being an educator, I'm part of the education forum. And then they will give you so many opportunities to present on a national level, the conferences. And the last year I attended the RCN Congress. That itself is such a huge event that gives you such a broad experience, diverse experience of people coming together, talking about your own field, and actually, again, breaking that cocoon in which you are while you're working in the trust. So giving you better awareness, and actually, in a way, it also take you through in a way where you want to know what actually you want to do next. I have been working very closely with the international nurses. So I have designed this top tips for them, and I have put it as a ABC, where A stands for authenticity. So basically, unapologetically own who you are. There is nothing less satisfying than pretending to be someone you are not. So every individual have their own quirks, they have their own personality, and they have their own point of view and experiences. And these are the things that make you who you are. So as international nurses, we shouldn't be afraid to show people both the real and the vulnerable sides of ourselves. And we don't have to be perfect, and we don't have to be, the best out there. But I think being yourself is something which will bring, the breath of that fresh air. So if you don't know something, that's absolutely okay to say you don't know. And I think that's also one of the key things which I have learned in my experience, that it's okay that you don't know, but what is more important is that you are ready and willing to learn what you don't know. That's something which I always mention to them. Be that is better informed, ask questions whenever they are in doubt. Because sometimes, especially as international nurses, we might think that actually they might think, how do we don't know? But it's okay. If you don't know, just ask the questions. And networking with people, not only within your trust, but outside your trust as well. The whole of the NHS is out there to help and support you personally and professionally. And as I mentioned, one of the best way to do that networking is RCN. So, in terms of whether it's your personal and whether it's your professional development, associating with the union. And because I am the RCN learning representative, I do mention to them that, there are so many ways RCN can help you. The third thing is being courageous. I think as nurses, we all are de facto leaders. And when we are coming to a different country, we might be in a situation where we think that, I don't know how should I go ahead with this situation. But I think what I want to highlight in here is that courage can have different meaning and connotations, and it can be expressed diversely. I'm a proud international nurse, and wherever I go, I will always remember my roots and my culture, and that's what all of us should do, because As I said, it's not easy to leave your country and come and work in a different country. So yeah, being proud of who you are, and always walking with that experience you hold, even if people think that you don't know, but you know that you know.